Seven Trumpets Prepper. In this video today, I'm going to talk about some things that most people may have an issue with, and most people may laugh at this video and say, this is just satire. But I'm being 100% real with you in this video, and I'm being 100% serious. With that said, this video is a complete detail outline that if I was able to take an expedition to the ends of the earth to prove to the world that it was flat, this is exactly how I would do it. And it would prove to people that it's flat and under a firmament dome, just as the scripture describes. Now, many of us that are awoke out here in the world, just looking at the scripture alone, looking at curvature drop, all the things that NASA purports, all that, if you look at that and you look at it with clear discernment, you can tell we live in a geostationary flat earth under a firmament dome. But to those that would have any doubt, to those that would laugh, those that wouldn't believe, this would settle this question forever. This would settle this for all the masses, for the billions living upon the face of the earth today. And I'm going to detail that out right now, and I hope you enjoy this. If you know any multi-millionaire, multi-billionaires that would like to make their name known for the rest of all of written history, this is an opportunity, because I'm telling you, I am not only willing to do this, this is exactly how I would do this, and I believe it would be very successful too. So to start out with, I want to make one last note. Admiral Byrd did take an expedition to Antarctica, Operation High Jump, many years ago now, 1947 I believe it was. And I'm going to cover some things that he experienced when he was down there. But looking at what he went through, looking at time that has passed, and looking at the availability of technology today, I believe that putting together a civilian-based with military support, I believe this would be a very successful endeavor. With that said, here's how I would do it. The first thing I would do is we would need some financial backing. Obviously, whether it's the good folks at Amazon to the Warren Buffetts of the world, there's plenty of folks out there that would like to make their name known. Not only that, the great thing about this endeavor for me is whether I live or die, it's a success. And I'll tell you for why. Is many people's tried to go down and do what I'm talking about doing right now. There's been a lot of great explorers out there that they just died, and they never were able to come back, and their name just fizzled out into the pages of history. But something this large scale, if it succeeds, the whole world is awakened. If it fails, then it leaves the lingering question, why was this man taken out? Because obviously somebody don't want this to get out to the masses. So either way, it's a winner. And the person backing it, they're going to get all sorts of fame and all sorts of public acknowledgement in the realm out there, either way it goes. So for them, it's a winner. For me, it's serving the Most High, because it's trying to wake up the world. So after we have achieved the financial backing, the next thing I would do is get a permit. This would probably be the most exhausting and dramatic thing in the whole process of this whole thing, because I know it would be fought tooth and nail. Because with the proper financial backing, with the proper resources and the proper crew, this could be a phenomenal success. The next thing I would do is ascertain a team. Now, this crew would be made up of a bulk of civilians. This would be people such as myself. Like, for example, I do off-grid construction. I've worked in the deep interior of Alaska and the frigid cold. I've worked in a lot of inhospitable climates around the world. Done a lot of different things, done a lot in technology. I know how to create power in places that most people would never even imagine that it's able to be done. I would resource and pull these type of people together. No one person would be completely in charge of this expedition either. It would be busted across multiple heads that would form a board that would be over the entire thing. Therefore, no one person is in power. And also that if one person was trying, say they wanted to take me out for trying to get this knowledge out to the masses, if you take me out, the mission still continues forward. And also, that stops the situation of ultimate power head, because ultimate power corrupts. Okay, no matter what you say, people that get too much power, they get corrupted. I want this to be about the truth and about the kingdom. The second thing, portion of that outside of the civilian technical, from everything from cold weather climate specialists to technical specialists to power to transportation, everything of that, I would find some military backing. And now these would be people that would be what I would call hired guns, sales swords. These people, I would find the very best that there is out there, ex-military, from Black Ops to Navy SEALs, you name it. I mean, these people would be the cream of the crop. We'd resource these people out. Now, the next thing we would need is transportation down to there. Now, most people would be like, well, just fly down to one of the Antarctic bases, go forward inland from there. Now, I wouldn't have any dealings at all possible with anything to do with what's down there currently. What we would do is Admiral Byrd discussed in a video presentation where that he was interviewed way back in like the late 40s, that I believe it's directly south of Texas. The depth inland is about the depth of the United States. And he said there was all sorts of resources there, coal, etc., blah, blah, blah. This would be an ideal location that I would want to choose to go toward, because as we look at the situation, if it is a dome, and we're still looking here, everything hypothetically, I'm sold out to the geostationary flat earth under a firmament dome like Scripture described. But if we want to look at things scientifically, then if it is a dome structure, and the Scripture describes the heavens being spread out like a tent, a lot of tents are a dome, but they're a squared off dome. So I would want to stay clear of the potential of going to one of the corners, because obviously the ends of the earth, if it is possibly that it's a little bit more further corners outside of the circle itself of the water and the continents set inside of it, I wouldn't want to go too far. So hopefully that area that Admiral Byrd described is one of the areas that we could specifically look at. With that known, then the fleet that I would put together obviously have a submarine, because as I'm making this video, anybody that looks at Scripture, 2nd Ezra chapter 16 describes, woe to you Babylon, Asia, woe to you Egypt and Damascus, put on haircloth, sackcloth, but wail your sons and daughters, because your destruction is nigh at hand. You go further down, and forgive me if I misquoted Scripture in any ways, you look further down, it speaks of, and this is the beginning of sorrows. Now, the Iranian government is already saying that America going to war with Iran will be the mother of all wars, I believe was the quote the other day in the news. So we're living in a very turbulent time. We're living in the closing pages of Earth's history before the age of the kingdom of the Most High Yah. This is a very perilous time. Now, being that we know that situation, I would want to have a lot of protection going doing this endeavor, being that we're leaving from the United States. I would want to have a submarine. I would want to have 4 cargo container ships. These are specially retrofitted for what I'm about to describe with some aircraft here in a minute. I'd want a WASP class cruiser, or a WASP class ship, because this specific ship is outfitted for helicopter aircraft, just like the United States Marine Corps uses, and also it can deploy troops, that type of craft. I would like to have one of those for specific reasons I can get into later. I'd want to have at least 1 cruiser and an icebreaker. Now, I know this is starting to sound like Admiral Byrd's expedition all over again, but the reason that we would want some of this equipment, I can get into greater detail later on. The aircraft they'd want to have is obviously for the helicopter ship, we'd want some helicopters. This is for moving equipment up above the ice wall, because, I don't want to go Game of Thrones here, but obviously, folks, there's an ice wall there that is hundreds and hundreds of feet tall, that is 50,000 roughly miles in diameter around the world, as described as one of the captains that went around after I believe it was around the time after the Civil War. I believe he notated it was 50,000 nautical miles with no inlet or passage there around. Now, the next thing I would want is 4 blimps. These are very special blimps. They're ones that are starting to be manufactured again, because after the Hindenburg situation, long ago, blimps kind of fizzled out into the pages of history, and aircraft kind of took their place. Well, these new blimps that are being manufactured, they can hold massive tonnage for cargo and crew. I believe this would be the best possible option for going inland, as that it can carry the crew and the necessary equipment inland. Also, throughout this whole process, from the beginning of this expedition to the very end and return, this would be live streamed to the public. Now, the way we would do this is like Google Loom. They use the high altitude balloons to provide LTE service around the world. Why? Well, because there's no satellites in space, for those that are aware. But actually, that is not accurate. There is satellites in so-called space. Way up in the stratosphere, if you look at these pictures I'm sharing right here, They launched these balloons up, tethering these equipment with solar panels on it, and that's what you actually see right there, satellites getting launched. There's no rocket launch satellites in space. Sorry to break people's heart. Now, with these Google type loon balloons, what we would do with it is something very specific on this. You can launch this right at the edge of the ice wall, because it shouldn't be very far from there up to the edge of the dome where the circumference is. Now, furthermore, we would also put a long-range telescope on one of these retrofitted so that we could look very far inland. Now, since no drones are allowed to use in Antarctica, based on what information I've seen in my research for this situation, you can't use drones. So the situation with using the high altitude balloons there at the edge, tethered to the cargo ships, and using the blimps to take crew and equipment inland, hopefully between the two we would bring back something of substantial proof to the public. Now, the ultimate goal, obviously, with taking the blimps inland would be to go as far as to the ends of the earth as we could, sit down, walk out, touch the dome, and videotape it, obviously publicly right there, live streaming, and settle this once and for all the world to see. And it is what it is. Now, the thing that gets me about this, though, is aside from government agencies wanting to kill you, governments of the world wanting to kill you, multitudes wanting to keep this silent, from the Illuminati down, the one thing that does give myself a gut check is if we look at the notes from Admiral Byrd's 1947 expedition, which entailed thousands of military troops, 3 naval battle groups. The things that he dealt with down there is that the depth inland was phenomenal, or it was an astronomical depth. Like, they went in very, very far deep. Things that they ran into was the planes were flying into and hitting and exploding into the invisible firmament wall. So apparently the firmament, at some conjuncture, I don't know if it's reflective at the ends of the earth or what, but the planes were actually smashing into it according to accounts that are told. The other thing about this is that at the fall of Nazi Germany, many Germans apparently went to Argentina and to Antarctica. Now, I don't know whatever shook down from that. There's a great link I'll share in the video description below that you're more than welcome to look into this about so-called flying objects and etc. that even Admiral Byrd described. But these flying objects obviously attacked the battle fleet that was taken down there by Admiral Byrd's, according to accounts that are given. I don't know what's down there. I know that the fact that the fact that none of the nations of the world can hardly get along, even to this day, and the fact that they all came together and made the Antarctica Treaty, protecting Antarctica, should throw up red flags to everyone that there's something of value substantial down there to be seen. Now, I know that what I've shared with you in this video today, I may grow old to be an old man and die, and this may never come to pass. But if I had the backing, if I had the opportunity, and I had the people and materials to do this, I would go, people. Because the far-reaching ultimate end game of this is very simple. It would turn multitudes to the Most High Yah, which would be more than a great reward to me. I could care less about my name being remembered, as long as it brought glory to Him. The other great thing is it would fulfill an agenda for me. It would kill Darwinism. It would kill the Big Bang Theory. It would kill the globe. And it would also prove NASA, the educational system, and many other things to be fully rigged by those at the very top. It would create a cognitive thinking in people's minds again, to think for themselves. The massive undertone that would be set would be, the ripple effect would be worldwide. It would absolutely shake people to the core. And it also, at the same time, at the closing of the world's history and the turning of the page into the new age that is to come, this would be a great wake up to people before the 7 trumpets of Revelation began. I think that there's never been a better time than now to go forward and prove this and settle it once and for all. Is it a globe or is it flat? Well, if it's flat and it's under a dome, there's obviously ends. And we all know that are in the flat earth community, that it's out there and it's so-called Antarctica. It's not a continent by itself. It is the ring on the outer edge of this earth. I hope this video has helped to, if by some chance this opportunity ever arose that I could go there and prove this to the world, I would so do it. And this is exactly how I would execute it. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video today. I hope you kind of get an idea of what my thinking is. You know, like I said, this video wasn't made to be for satire. I actually, you know, if I had the ability to execute this, if I was a multi-billionaire, I would be packing my bags and trying to make this achieved for all the world to see. And so guys, until we see you again here at Seven Trumpets Prepper Channel, keep the faith, stand for the truth, and I hope you have a most blessed day, and Yahushua.